On a quiet night on Earth, Dr. Aaron Wells sat alone in his small laboratory. The only sound in the room was the soft hum of machines and the ticking clock on the wall. Outside, rain was falling, and the city lights flickered through the window. Aaron's eyes were tired, but he kept working, studying a strange radio signal he had picked up a few days ago. He was a scientist, but not a famous one. He worked in secret, always curious about life beyond Earth. His colleagues laughed at him, calling his experiments useless, but Aaron never stopped believing that somewhere out there, life was waiting to be found. That night, as he adjusted his signal receiver, something unusual happened. The monitor glowed bright blue, and a sudden burst of static filled the air. Then a voice broke through, soft, trembling, and full of fear. "Please, human, help us." Aaron froze, his heart pounding. He stared at the screen, not sure if he had imagined it. The voice came again, clearer this time. "Please, human, help us. They locked my mother in a cage." For a moment, Aaron forgot to breathe. It sounded like a child, but not a human child. The tone was strange, musical, echoing, almost glowing in sound. He leaned closer to the speaker, whispering, "Who is this? What do you mean?" The signal flickered and a faint sob was heard. "My name is Leary," the voice said. "They took my mother. They are hurting her. Please, you must help." Aaron quickly began recording the message, checking the signal's source. What he found made his skin crawl. The coordinates came from a distant star system far beyond any known human colony. "That's impossible," he muttered, his hands shaking. No ship from Earth had ever traveled that far. How could a signal like this reach him? Was it a trick or something else? Something real? The voice spoke again, weak and scared. "They will come soon. I don't have time. Please, if you can hear me, don't tell the council." "The council," Aaron repeated. "What council?" But the voice was gone, replaced by silence and static. He sat there for a long moment, staring at the screen. His mind filled with questions, his heart full of unease. He replayed the message again and again. Each time he heard the fear, the pain, the truth in that young voice. Aaron decided to trace the signal. Using his small AI assistant, Nora, he tried to decode the signal layers. Nora's soft voice replied, "This frequency is not Earth-made, Doctor. It contains alien energy patterns." Aaron blinked, feeling a chill run down his spine. "So, it's real," he whispered. "It's an alien child." Hours passed as he worked. The rain outside turned into thunder, and the room filled with the sound of storm and static. Then, something strange appeared on his monitor. A small holographic image. It showed a glowing planet, covered in mist and strange towers. And in the corner of the image, a tiny figure. The child, Leary, with shining blue eyes. Aaron's heart tightened. The child was crying, clutching a piece of metal that looked like a broken cage. Behind her, dark shadows moved, tall mechanical figures with red lights. One of them grabbed her arm, and the transmission cut off. Aaron jumped from his chair shouting, "No, wait!" But the screen went black. He tried to reconnect, but the system refused. Every attempt was blocked by a strange code, one he had never seen before. Nora said quietly, "Doctor, that code belongs to the Galactic Federation network." Aaron frowned. "That can't be. Humanity has no access to that network." "Then someone doesn't want you to see what's really happening," Nora replied. Aaron rubbed his temples, his mind racing. If the message was real, then this wasn't just a discovery. It was a call for help, but from who and why him, he wasn't. A soldier, not a hero, just a scientist who worked alone. Yet something inside him couldn't ignore that voice. A child begging for help, her mother trapped in a cage. He remembered his own daughter, who had died years ago. Her voice had sounded just like that when she was scared. He looked at the screen one last time. The coordinates of the signal blinked faintly, fading in and out. If he didn't act now, the child might die. He whispered, "Hang on, Leary. I'll find you." As he pressed the final command to trace the signal route, the power in his lab flickered. The lights dimmed, and the computer sparked. Nora warned, "Unknown interference detected. Source approaching Earth orbit." Aaron's heartbeat quickened. "Approaching Earth?" he repeated. Before he could react, a burst of energy hit his lab, shaking the entire room. The machines exploded, and the screen filled with blinding white light. Through the static, Aaron heard the voice again, faint but clear. "Please, human, hurry." Then everything went dark. Aaron collapsed beside his desk, his ears ringing. As he looked up through the smoke, a strange blue glow filled the room, and in the light, he thought he saw her. The small alien child standing in front of him, whispering, "You came." When Dr. Aaron Wells opened his eyes, everything was silent. Smoke drifted across the room, sparks crackled from broken wires. The machines were destroyed, and the window was shattered, letting in cold night air. For a moment, Aaron thought it was a dream, but the glowing blue light still flickered in front of him, floating gently like a small star. Inside that glow, he saw her. The same alien child from the signal. She looked frightened, but alive, her skin pale and shining softly like crystal. Her large eyes were full of fear, but also hope. Aaron whispered, "Leary." The child turned to him, clutching a small cube that pulsed with faint light. "You heard me," she said in a trembling voice. "I didn't think any human would." Aaron struggled to stand, his head still dizzy. "What are you? How did you come here?" he asked softly. She shook her head, tears in her glowing eyes. "They followed my signal. They're coming." Before Aaron could ask who she meant, the lab lights flickered again. Nora's robotic voice spoke from the corner. "Warning, unidentified craft detected in orbit." Aaron's chest tightened. "They found us already." Leary held out the cube. "You must take this," she said quickly. "Inside is proof of what they did to my people. It's the only way to stop them." Aaron reached for the cube, feeling a strange warmth spreading through his fingers. It wasn't metal. It felt alive, like it was breathing. He asked, "What's inside it?" Leary's voice dropped to a whisper. "Memories. My mother's memories." Before he could say anything else, the building shook violently. A beam of blue light cut through the roof, burning everything it touched. Leary screamed, grabbing Aaron's hand. "We have to go now!" Aaron dragged her to the emergency exit, his mind racing. Outside, the sky was filled with strange ships, smooth silver crafts with glowing red symbols. Aaron shouted, "Nora, activate the stealth pod!" The ground beneath the lab opened, revealing a small underground escape ship. They jumped inside and Aaron hit the launch button. The ship roared upward, breaking through the stormy clouds. From above, Earth looked peaceful, unaware that something deadly was hovering just outside its orbit. As they escaped the atmosphere, Leary stared at the stars, whispering, "They will not stop, not until the truth is gone." Aaron looked at her. "Who are they?" he asked. "The Council," she said softly. "The Galactic Law enforcers. They say humans are forbidden to interfere, but they are the ones hurting us." Aaron frowned. "You mean the Galactic Federation, the one that bans contact with humans?" Leary nodded. "Yes, they use the law to hide their crimes." Her small hands trembled. As she touched the glowing cube, "My mother tried to expose them, so they locked her in a cage." Aaron stared out into the endless dark. He had dreamed all his life of meeting alien life, but not like this. He never imagined a frightened child asking for help, hunted by powers far beyond human understanding. The pod's AI spoke. "Warning, energy beam approaching." A red light flashed across the controls, and Aaron swerved the ship just in time. The beam grazed the hull, melting a side panel. Leary screamed, covering her face. Aaron shouted, "Hold on!" and fired the hyperdrive. The stars stretched into long white lines as the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. Inside, everything went quiet again. Aaron sat breathing heavily, staring at Leary. She looked weak, her glow fading slightly. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "The jump. It drains energy. My body isn't made for this kind of travel." Aaron frowned. "Then rest," he said. "I'll find a way to keep you safe." She looked at him, confused. "Why are you helping me? You could be punished too." Aaron smiled sadly. "Because you asked for help, and no one else listened." Leary stared at him for a long moment, then whispered, "You're not like the others." Her voice faded as she fell asleep, clutching the cube tightly against her chest. Hours passed. Aaron watched the stars slide by, his mind spinning with questions. If the Galactic Federation was real, and humans were banned from contact, then how did Earth Command not know? Or maybe they did, and they kept it secret. He activated the pod's data scanner to study the cube. It projected tiny images in the air, flashes of alien cities, tall towers of silver and glass, glowing creatures working in harmony. Then came the darker scenes, soldiers in black armor, cages filled with strange beings, and a woman with wings like Leary's being dragged away. Aaron whispered, "That must be her mother." The cube then showed a brief image of Earth's symbol, the same logo used by Earth Command. Aaron's eyes widened. No, that's not possible. Had humans been working with the Council? Was his own planet part of this horror? Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship. "Warning, tracking signal detected," Nora's voice echoed. "They followed your jump path." Aaron tightened his grip on the controls. "How did they trace us?" Leary woke, gasping. "They marked me. They always know where I am." Aaron looked into her frightened eyes, realizing there was no way back now. He whispered, "Then we go forward." He checked the navigation map. The coordinates from the signal were still there, far away but reachable. "We're going to your home, Leary," he said. "We'll find your mother." Leary nodded weakly. "If you go there, you will see the truth. But once you do, the whole galaxy will turn against you." Aaron smiled faintly. "Then let them." Outside the window, stars burned brighter as the ship raced into the unknown, and somewhere behind them, in the deep silence of space, red eyes watched, waiting for the moment to strike again. The stars outside the small ship glowed like cold fire. Dr. Aaron Wells sat in the pilot seat, his eyes fixed on the distant blue planet ahead. That was Leary's home, the world where her mother was trapped. His hands trembled as he tightened his grip on the controls. He had never flown so far, never crossed forbidden space before. Leary sat quietly beside him, her small hands clutching the glowing cube. She looked weak, her light dimmer than before. Aaron glanced at her. "We're almost there," he said softly. Leary nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "They call it Zephora. It used to be full of life. Now it's a cage." As they approached the planet, Aaron saw broken ships floating in orbit, wrecks from battles long ago, their metal bodies drifting like ghosts. He passed through a dense ring of dust and debris, till the ship finally entered the atmosphere. The planet below looked sick, its skies dark green, its surface filled with black smoke and red cracks. Aaron whispered, "This isn't a world, it's a prison." They landed near what looked like a mining colony. Tall metal towers surrounded by electric fences. From above, he could see creatures working under bright spotlights, their bodies thin, their movements slow, machines watching them from every corner. Leary looked away, tears in her glowing eyes. "That's what they did to us," she said softly. "My people were healers, not fighters. They turned us into slaves." Aaron felt anger building in his chest. He put on a breathing mask and helped Leary hide under a cloak to cover her glowing skin. They stepped out into the cold air, the ground cracked and steaming beneath their boots. A mechanical siren wailed somewhere far away. Everywhere they looked, drones hovered, scanning the area for intruders. Aaron followed Leary through the shadows. She moved silently, guiding him toward an old structure hidden behind the mining facility. It looked like an abandoned lab, its walls rusted, wires hanging like dead vines. Inside, the air smelled of smoke and metal. "This was my mother's research center," Leary said softly, "before they took it from her." Aaron looked around. Broken screens, shattered glass, and strange alien symbols painted on the walls. Then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A long cage made of crystal and metal stood in the corner, still glowing faintly. Inside it lay marks of burned wings and chains. Leary touched the cage, her voice shaking. "This is where they kept her. For years." Aaron knelt beside the cage, studying the marks. He noticed something strange. A symbol burned into the metal. It was the same logo as Earth Command. His heart skipped. "No, this can't be," he whispered. Leary looked at him in confusion. "What is it?" Aaron didn't answer. He couldn't. If Earth Command was involved, then humanity wasn't innocent anymore. They moved deeper. Into the building, following faint energy readings, the air grew hotter and the ground rumbled beneath them. Suddenly, a door opened with a hiss, and a blinding light flooded the hallway. Aaron froze. Pulling Leary behind him, from the light stepped 3 armored soldiers, human soldiers. Their suits bore the Earth Command logo, and their voices sounded robotic through their helmets. "Unauthorized presence detected," one said. "Identify yourself." Aaron's heart pounded. He raised his hands. "Wait, I'm Dr. Aaron Wells, from Earth. I came to—" Before he could finish, one of them aimed his weapon. "You are not authorized in this zone. Surrender immediately." Leary gasped, hiding behind Aaron. He glared at the soldiers. "You're humans. Why are you guarding alien prisoners?" The soldier's voice was cold. "Orders from command. This species is dangerous," Aaron shouted back. "They're children, not enemies." But the soldier didn't care. He raised his gun and fired. The blast hit the wall beside Aaron, spraying sparks. He grabbed Leary's hand and ran down the corridor, alarms blaring behind them. The soldiers shouted, chasing after them. Aaron found a narrow vent and pushed Leary inside. "Go, crawl through, I'll follow." She shook her head. "No, I won't leave you." "Do it," he whispered. "I promised your mother I'd protect you." They crawled through the vent as bullets scorched the metal around them. Finally, they dropped into a dark chamber below. In the middle of the room stood a large glass container filled with blue liquid. Inside it floated a woman. Tall, graceful, with broken wings and silver hair. Leary cried out, "Mother!" Aaron stared in shock. The woman was alive, but barely. Her body connected to machines, her wings torn and bruised, her eyes opened weakly, glowing faintly through the glass. When she saw Leary, a single tear floated in the liquid. "Leary, my child." She whispered through the speaker. Aaron rushed to the control panel, trying to break the locks, but the system demanded a passcode, one he didn't have. "Let me help you," he said desperately. The woman looked at him, her voice faint. "You're human. Why are you here?" "To free you," Aaron said. "Your daughter called for help." The lights suddenly turned red, and the floor shook. A robotic voice echoed. "Containment breach detected. Lockdown initiated." Leary screamed, "They're coming!" Aaron smashed the control panel, electricity flashing across his arm. The glass cracked, then shattered, and blue liquid spilled everywhere. Soraya, Leary's mother, fell into Aaron's arms, weak and trembling. Leary hugged her tightly, crying, "Mama, I found you." Soraya smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have come. They will kill you both." Aaron lifted her up, determined. "Then we run." Behind them, the heavy metal doors opened and the sound of human boots echoed closer. As they escaped through the smoke-filled tunnels, alarms screamed across the entire colony. Drones took flight, searchlights cutting through the darkness. Soraya coughed weakly, whispering, "The truth must survive. Take the crystal to the stars." Aaron nodded, holding her close as he ran. He didn't know where they were going, but one thing was clear. Humanity had become the monster, and he would do anything to make it right. The underground tunnels of Zephora trembled as alarms screamed through the night. Red lights flashed against the walls, and smoke filled the air. Dr. Aaron Wells ran as fast as he could, carrying Soraya, while Leary followed close behind. The sound of boots and mechanical drones echoed from above. They were being hunted, not by aliens, but by humans. Soraya's breathing was weak, each breath shallow and heavy. Her wings hung lifeless, torn from years of captivity. Aaron looked down at her, his heart breaking. "Hold on, we're almost out." Soraya smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have come, human. Saving us is forbidden by your own kind." Aaron shook his head. "Then maybe it's time to break teat. He rules." They reached a broken corridor filled with flickering lights. Leary pointed toward an old maintenance door. "This way, it leads to the surface." Aaron kicked it open, and cold wind rushed in, carrying the smell of burnt metal and dust. Outside, the night sky was dark purple, and the ground glowed faintly from radiation. Above them, huge battleships hovered, releasing patrol drones like angry insects. Aaron set Soraya down behind a large rock and checked his scanner. Nora's voice spoke softly through his earpiece. "Doctor, satellite images show 10 security units moving toward your position." "Then we need to move now," he said, his voice sharp. Leary looked at her mother, her eyes full of tears. "She can't walk. We can't leave her." Soraya touched her daughter's face gently. "You must, my child. The truth must reach the stars." Aaron clenched his fists, refusing to accept it. He opened his backpack and pulled out a small metal device. "This is a phase field generator," he said. "It can hide us for a few minutes if I overload it." Soraya looked at him in surprise. "That's human tech. How did you—" Aaron cut her off. "I built it years ago for exploration, never thought I'd use it to fight my own people." He pressed a button, and a soft blue dome surrounded them. The sound of the outside world faded, leaving only silence. They were invisible. For now, through the transparent field, Aaron watched as drones scanned the area, beams of red light passing inches away. Leary clutched her mother's hand, whispering, "They're so close." Soraya turned to Aaron, her voice weak but calm. "You risk everything for us. Why?" Aaron hesitated, looking at her glowing eyes. "Because I heard your daughter cry," he said softly, "and I realized silence makes us monsters too." Soraya smiled faintly, her wings trembling. "Then maybe humanity still has hope." The field began to flicker, warning lights flashing. Nora's voice returned. "Doctor, the power core is overheating. You have 30 seconds before collapse." Aaron grabbed Soraya's arm. "We have to move now." They ran through the valley, the cold wind cutting through their clothes. Behind them, explosions lit up the sky as drones started firing randomly into the dark. They reached a narrow cave near the mountains, hidden beneath twisted roots and rocks. Inside, the air was cool and silent, a small glow from bioluminescent moss lighting the walls. Aaron set Soraya down and checked her pulse. It was faint but steady. Leary sat beside her, holding her hand tightly. Soraya opened her eyes and said softly, "My people believed in the law of light. Every act of kindness creates a spark, and that spark can burn through any darkness." Aaron listened quietly, his heart heavy. "Then we'll keep that spark alive," he said. Soraya reached for the glowing cube, the same one Leary had carried from the beginning. She pressed it into Aaron's hands. Inside, this is the truth. Records of what the Council and your Earth Command have done. Aaron stared at it, shocked. "You mean humanity worked with them?" Soraya nodded slowly. They traded our lives for power, for knowledge, for access to the stars. Leary gasped. Humans did this. Aaron looked down, guilt flooding his chest. Not all of us, he said. Some of us still remember what compassion means. Suddenly, Nora's voice interrupted. Warning, incoming heat signatures detected. 5 drones approaching fast. Aaron stood up, his jaw tight. They found us again. He turned to Leary. Take your mother and hide deeper in the cave. I'll hold them off. Leary's eyes widened. No, you'll die. Aaron smiled sadly. Maybe, but not before I make them remember what being human means. He stepped out of the cave and crouched behind a rock, pulled Saulal. Laying out a small pulse blaster, the sky roared as drones descended, their red eyes scanning the ground. Aaron waited, breathing slowly, then fired. A blue burst hit one drone, sending it crashing into the sand. The others turned instantly, lasers slicing through the darkness. Aaron rolled behind another rock, firing again and again. One drone exploded, but the others closed in fast. Inside the cave, Leary watched in fear, her glowing hands trembling. Suddenly, Soraya lifted her head, whispering ancient words. The cube in Aaron's pocket glowed brightly, sending out a wave of energy that rippled across the battlefield. The drones froze mid-air, their lights flickering, then dropped lifeless to the ground. Aaron stared in shock. What just happened? Leary whispered. My mother's power. She used the last of it to protect us. Aaron ran back into the cave, where Soraya lay still, her glow fading. Leary cried, Mama, no! Soraya smiled weakly. The truth is safe now. You must protect it, both of you. Her eyes dimmed, her wings folded gently, and the cave fell silent. Aaron knelt beside her, feeling tears sting his eyes. He had seen death before, but never one that felt so heavy. Leary buried her face against her mother's chest, whispering, I'll make them pay. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. No, we'll make them change. Outside, the first rays of Ziphora's sun began to rise. The light touched the broken machines and burned away the smoke. Aaron looked toward the horizon, his voice calm but full of fire. They wanted silence, he said, but we'll give them truth. Leary stood beside him, her small wings unfolding in the dawn light. Together, they began their next journey, to show the galaxy what humanity had become. The sun rose slowly over Ziphora's shattered land. Golden light spilled across the mountains, touching the broken towers and silent machines. Dr. Aaron Wells stood near the cave entrance, watching the horizon as smoke drifted in the air. Beside him, Leary sat quietly, holding the glowing cube against her chest. Her mother's body lay wrapped in silver cloth, resting peacefully inside the cave. Aaron hadn't slept all night. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Soraya's face, her last words echoing in his mind. The truth must survive. He looked down at the cube in his hand, feeling its gentle pulse. Inside it was everything. Evidence of what Earth Command and the Galactic Council had done. Proof that humanity had broken the sacred law and helped enslave an innocent race. Leary's small voice broke the silence. Will they come again? She asked softly. Aaron nodded. They will. The Council doesn't forgive lawbreakers. But the law is wrong, she said with sudden anger. They use it to hurt others. Aaron looked at her and sighed. Maybe it's not the law itself, but the ones who control it. The wind howled outside the cave, carrying the sound of engines. Aaron turned sharply, scanning the sky through his visor. 5 ships were descending, black and sleek, bearing the symbol of the Galactic Council. Nora's voice echoed in his earpiece. Doctor, those are Enforcer-class ships, lethal units, you need to leave now. Aaron grabbed Leary's hand. Come on, we have to go. They ran through the narrow tunnels that led out the back of the mountain. Dust fell from the ceiling as explosions shook the ground. Outside, a silver transport craft waited, one Aaron had stolen from the human guards earlier. Leary climbed aboard, clutching the cube tightly. Aaron jumped into the pilot's seat, the engines roaring to life. The ship lifted just as laser fire rained down from above. In the sky, drones swarmed like angry hornets. Aaron twisted the controls, dodging blasts of red light. Hold on, he shouted. This is going to get rough. Leary gripped the seat, her wings trembling. One of the drones hit the side of the ship, sending it spinning. Aaron slammed a switch, firing a flare that exploded in bright light, blinding their pursuers. They shot upward through the clouds and into space, leaving the burning world behind. For a few minutes, everything was quiet again. Leary looked back at Ziphora, tears in her eyes. My home is gone, she whispered. There's nothing left. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. Home isn't just a place, it's the people you protect. Leary looked at him, her voice trembling. Then you are my home now. Aaron didn't speak, but his heart ached. He had lost his daughter years ago, and now, somehow fate had given him another child to protect. As they drifted through the stars, Aaron began studying the cube again. He connected it to the ship's data port, and images filled the air. He saw alien cities burning, council soldiers dragging families into cages, and at the center of it all, human officers watching, silent and cold. The words, Operation Balance, appeared on the screen. Aaron frowned. What is that? He muttered. Nora replied. Classified mission by Earth Command, purpose unknown. Leary's eyes glowed faintly. That's when they took my mother. Before Aaron could dig deeper, the cube glowed brighter and projected an image of Soraya. Her voice filled the small cabin, gentle but strong. If you are hearing this, it means I am gone, she said. My world has fallen, but the truth must live on. The Galactic Law forbids humans from helping us because they fear you. Human compassion is stronger than their control. Aaron sat frozen, listening to her final message. I saw hope in your kind once, Soraya continued. But now, your leaders serve the Council. They trade lives for access to the stars. If you wish to save both our worlds, take this truth to the Galactic Core. The message ended, leaving only silence and the hum of the engines. Aaron leaned back, whispering, the Galactic Core. It was the center of the Federation. A massive station where every law was written and enforced. No human had ever been there, not since the War of Banishment. Leary looked at him. We can't go there, they'll kill us. Aaron smiled weakly. They'll try, but if we don't, everything your mother died for will mean nothing. Before he could plot a course, the radar beeped again. Nora's voice grew tense. Doctor, we are being hailed by a Federation ship. Aaron frowned. Put it through. A hologram appeared. A tall alien in golden armor, eyes like glass, voice cold and calm. This is Commander Zelvar of the Galactic Enforcers, he said. By order of the Council, you are under arrest for violating Galactic Law 911, aiding a forbidden species, and spreading human influence. Aaron glared at him. You enslaved innocent people and call it law. Zelvar smirked. The law exists to protect balance. Humans are chaos. Compassion is a weakness we do not allow. Leary stepped forward, trembling but brave. You call my people dangerous, but you're the ones killing children. The commander's eyes narrowed. The child speaks like her mother. That will be corrected. Aaron slammed the communication switch, cutting him off. We're done listening to monsters. He activated the hyperdrive and the ship leapt into lightspeed. Stars stretched across the window and the engine roared like thunder. Nora spoke softly. Destination set. The Galactic Core. Leary looked at Aaron, her voice small. If we go there, we can't come back. Aaron nodded. I know. He glanced at her and smiled faintly. But maybe that's how real change begins. Outside, the stars burned brighter than ever. Behind them, the Enforcer fleet followed, growing closer with every second, and ahead of the waiting in the heart of the galaxy, was the place where all truth and all law began. For the first time in centuries, a human was coming to challenge it, and this time, the galaxy would have to listen. The stars streaked past the ship in long silver lines. Dr. Aaron Wells sat in the cockpit, his hands tight on the controls. Leary watched him quietly, her small glowing eyes full of worry. They had been running for days, hiding in deep space between old satellites and asteroid fields, but the Enforcer fleet was still behind them. Closer with every jump, Nora's calm voice filled the silence. Doctor, energy reserves are at 30%. If we continue at this speed, we'll lose power before reaching the Galactic Core. Aaron frowned, thinking fast. We can't stop now, he said. If we do, they'll catch us. Leary touched his arm gently. Maybe there's another way. Aaron turned to her. What do you mean? She held the glowing cube in her hands. This crystal, it isn't just memory. It can connect to the core's main network. My mother built it to reveal truth to everyone at once. Aaron stared at her, surprised. Broadcast it? Leary nodded. Yes, but we must get close enough, inside the core's reach. He smiled faintly. Then that's what we'll do. Ahead of them, a giant shadow appeared in the distance. The Galactic Core, a massive station floating in the middle of a glowing nebula. It was bigger than a planet, covered in golden rings and endless towers of light. Ships moved in perfect patterns around it like stars trapped in orbit. Aaron's chest tightened. That's it, the heart of the galaxy. Nora spoke again. Warning, detection field active. If we cross it, they will identify us instantly. Aaron exhaled slowly. Then we'll have to slip through unnoticed. He adjusted the ship's shields, bending light around it. The hull shimmered until the vessel almost vanished. For a few moments, they moved silently through the void, unseen. Inside, Leary closed her eyes and began humming softly. A strange light surrounded her, glowing from her skin like starlight. Aaron looked at her in awe. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Hiding our signal. It's something my mother taught me." Aaron smiled. "You're incredible." Leary smiled back weakly. "I learned from her. And now from you." They reached the outer gates of the core. Huge metallic pillars floated around the station, glowing with energy. Then Nora's voice turned sharp. "Multiple lock-ons detected. We've been spotted." Aaron cursed under his breath. So much for stealth. Beams of red light shot toward them, shaking the ship violently. Leary screamed as alarms blared. Aaron shouted, "Hang on!" and dove the ship into a storm of debris. The chase was brutal. Dozens of enemy fighters surrounded them, firing non-stop. Aaron spun the ship between chunks of metal and plasma fire. One drone crashed into a floating ring, exploding in blue flames. Another clipped their wing, sending sparks across the controls. Nora reported calmly, "Damage level 70%, hull integrity critical." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Not yet. We're not dying here." He pulled a small lever and released the ship's remaining fuel. The engines burst into white fire, propelling them faster than light for a few seconds. They shot past the enemy line and into the core's atmosphere. The ship crashed hard on a landing platform, metal screeching. When the smoke cleared, Aaron coughed. "We made it. Somehow." Guards surrounded the wreck almost instantly, tall alien soldiers with silver armor and glowing eyes. One of them shouted, "By order of the Council, surrender immediately." Aaron stepped out slowly, holding the cube in his hand. Leary followed him, her wings glowing faintly behind her. The guards hesitated for a moment. They had never seen a child like her before. Aaron raised his voice. "HFY, I have proof of your crimes." One guard laughed. "Lies, the Council decides truth." Aaron shouted, "Then let everyone decide." He lifted the cube high and it began to glow brighter than the sun. A wave of energy spread from it, racing across the station. Screens, walls, and devices everywhere began to flicker with images. Scenes of slavery, cages, and burning worlds. Every creature on the station saw what the Council had done. Panic broke out. Soldiers shouted. Civilians screamed. The truth had been unleashed, and no one could stop it. The commander of the guards aimed his weapon. "Destroy the human." Before he could fire, Leary stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "You will not hurt him," she said, her voice echoing with strange power. The ground shook, and the commander's weapon melted in his hands. He fell back in fear, whispering, "Impossible." Aaron stared at Leary, stunned. She looked older, her glow stronger, like her mother's energy had awakened inside her. Nora's voice whispered, "Doctor, readings show massive energy forming within her. You must get her out now." Aaron tried to grab her hand, but Leary shook her head. "No, I can't leave yet. They need to see." She floated slightly above the ground, light swirling around her. Her voice rang through the entire station. "The law is meant to protect life, not to destroy it. You have turned it into chains." All across the galaxy, the broadcast continued. Billions watched as the truth filled their screens. Some wept, some shouted, some began to rise in anger. The Galactic Council chambers erupted in chaos. The lies that ruled for centuries were falling apart. Suddenly, the guards fired again, beams of light tearing through the air. Aaron threw himself in front of Leary, shielding her with his body. The blast hit him hard, sending pain through every nerve. Leary screamed, "No!" and a massive surge of energy burst from her body. The guards were thrown back, and the entire core trembled. Aaron collapsed to the floor, barely conscious. Leary knelt beside him, tears glowing on her cheeks. He smiled weakly. "You did it, kid. They saw the truth." She whispered, "Don't go, please." Aaron touched her hand, his voice fading. "Remember what your mother said? Light will always find a way." Outside, the galactic core burned with waves of light. The Council's ships scattered, unable to contain the rising storm. And in the center of it all, a human and a small alien child stood together, defying the greatest power in the galaxy with nothing but truth and courage. The galactic core burned like a wounded star. Alarms echoed through the massive halls, and the sky outside glowed red with fire. The great Council's ships were breaking apart, torn by chaos and rebellion. The truth had spread across the stars. No one could silence it anymore. Dr. Aaron Wells lay on the cold floor of the central chamber, his body weak, his breathing shallow. The blast had hit him hard, but he was still alive, barely. Beside him, Leary knelt, her small hands glowing as she tried to heal him. Her tears fell like drops of light, landing on his burned skin. "Please don't leave me," she whispered, her voice trembling. Aaron forced a faint smile. "I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere." The floor shook again as explosions rocked the core. Outside, crowds of different alien races were rising up, breaking free from guards and machines. For the first time in centuries, the oppressed were fighting back. The galaxy had awakened, and it started because of a single human who chose to listen. Nora's voice crackled through the damaged comms. "Doctor, you must evacuate. Structural collapse imminent." Aaron coughed weakly. "I can't. Not without her." Leary shook her head. "We can't leave yet. If we go, they'll rebuild. The council will rise again." Aaron looked at her, confused. "What are you saying?" She stood slowly, her wings spreading wide, shining brighter than ever. "The core runs on the inner Gaia of enslaved worlds," she said softly. "If I release it, it will free them all, but it will destroy this place." Aaron's eyes widened. "No, Leary, you'll die." She smiled sadly. "I am my mother's daughter. Her light lives in me." Before he could stop her, she floated toward the giant energy core at the center of the room. It was a sphere of pure power, glowing like a small sun. Machines pulsed around it, feeding on life from 1,000 enslaved worlds. Leary reached out her hands, her small figure glowing like a star in human form. Aaron tried to get up, shouting, "Leary, please don't do this!" But his body refused to move, pain holding him down. Leary turned her head slightly, her voice soft and full of peace. "You once said silence makes us monsters. I won't be silent anymore." Her fingers touched the energy core. A blinding wave of light erupted, spreading through every system. The machines screamed, wires melted, and the core began to break apart. All across the galaxy, the effect was instant. Prison fields collapsed, slaves dropped their chains, cages opened, and planets long trapped in darkness saw daylight again. Aaron shielded his eyes as the light filled the chamber. He could see her silhouette floating in the center, small, fragile, and yet powerful enough to shake the heavens. Then slowly, her body began to fade, turning into streams of energy that merged with the light. Her voice echoed softly through the air. "Tell them, tell everyone, that kindness is not weakness. It's the strongest force there is." And then she was gone. Only the cube remained, now dark and silent, lying beside Aaron's hand. The energy core shattered completely, sending a shockwave across the station. Metal screamed, walls cracked, and fire spread through every corridor. Aaron forced himself to crawl toward the exit, holding the cube tightly, his vision blurred, his strength fading. He whispered, "You did it, Leary. You saved them all." A rescue drone appeared above him, Nora's signal guiding it. Mechanical arms lifted him as the core finally collapsed in a burst of white light. Moments later, the debris of the once mighty galactic core floated silently in space. From its ashes, ships full of refugees and freed captives drifted into the open stars. And among them, one small human vessel carried the last piece of Soraya's legacy. In Leary's light, days passed. Aaron awoke in a medical pod aboard a neutral station. The window beside him showed hundreds of ships gathered together. Different species, once divided, now standing side by side. He touched his chest, feeling the pain, but also the warmth of survival. Nora's voice spoke softly. "Doctor, the galaxy has changed. The broadcast continues on every channel. The council is gone." Aaron smiled weakly. "No, not gone. Just replaced by truth." He looked at the cube resting beside him on the table. It pulsed faintly, just once, like a heartbeat. He whispered, "Leary." And for a moment, he thought he heard her voice. "I'm still here," it said softly, "in every spark of light." Outside, new banners flew across the stars, symbols of peace between species. For the first time, humans were no longer seen as destroyers. They were remembered because one man broke the law to save a child who taught them all what it meant to be truly alive. Aaron stood by the window, his reflection pale but his eyes bright with purpose. He knew his fight wasn't over. The galaxy would need rebuilding, worlds healing, wounds mending, but he would carry her message everywhere he went. The message of a small alien girl who changed the universe with kindness and courage. He whispered to the stars, "You were right, Leary. Light always finds a way." And far away, among the countless suns, a faint shimmer flickered, a glow like a pair of wings unfolding once more. The child of two worlds had become the light of them all.